Welcome back to Perpetual Cash Flow. This channel is dedicated to unlocking your maximum wealth potential, beginning with a structured cash flow system that prioritizes your financial freedom. Now, today I have John Baker with us. He is the founder of Fortress Wealth Architects. John, you introduced me to Currents some time ago because of the experiences that you were having with it as you implement it. The software and the cash flow structure into your personal life. What was that like when you first got started?
Brad, I think Currents is absolutely true financial innovation, right? So I started Currents with myself doing it, and the experience is just like they describe. I am saving more money than I ever thought that I could, and it's led to habit changes, and so the structure is the key to that, and putting that little speed bump between me and my consumption.
When you got started, and I've heard this from my own clients, and I saw it in myself. You look at what you're currently doing and you think, man, I got a really good handle on my finances. I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to save a whole lot more than what I'm already doing. It sounds like you found the same thing everybody else. There was a lot more slipping through the cracks than you thought.
Yes, and I think the reason, and I'm a pretty decent saver, but I think the reason is that change in behavior of where my paycheck goes first totally sealed that deal, because my paycheck before Currents was going into my regular checking account, and then I would pay my bills and then attempt to save. And that really is what most people are doing. So the habit change, having my paycheck go to my reservoir account, and then out of my reservoir account, dripping into my regular checking account, made a profound difference.
John, what are some examples of shifts in behavior that you've had when it comes to how and where you're spending money because of Currents?
Well, Brad, Currents, offers a structure. And if you think about it, how many people out there have a structure that they're following? Their paycheck goes into their checking account, they pay bills, they attempt to save. There's no structure to that. Currents has provided, number one, the terminology that they use: reservoir account, dripping into the bill pay account, harvesting cash flow, if you will. If your paycheck goes into your account and you pay your bills and you save, that's okay. But what I've seen is that it's made me more optimum. It's made me more aware of where my dollars are going. And I can see that on my dashboard on the app on my phone. So I can see the flow of money and I can see the improvement that it makes. Also, when I attempt to when I attempt to spend a little bit more than what the flow is that's going to my checking account, on the screen, it comes up with, hey, you're doing a deviation and it's different than what you're currently doing. Are you sure you want to do that? Because my income is volatile, right? I charge fees and earn commissions, and sometimes there needs to be some extra that's sent downstream to cover a large business expense, and it will ask me, are you sure you want to do that? And two different times I thought, golly dang, I don't want to do that. And I put it off, and you know what? I survived. So one of the things that I tend to do is keep a little bit too much money in my checking account. And it was one of those things where the reservoir account had grown, and I was okay. I didn't need to send money downstream that month. I made it.
Was that more of a want purchase versus a need purchase?
It was a need purchase, and it was just making, it was going to make my account go down to a level that I was a little bit uncomfortable with. But I fought the urge off to send more money downstream, and I had enough. And, I send money downstream to myself from my reservoir account on the 1st and the 15th. And I was able to make it a couple of days, and here came another deposit into the bill pay account, saved the day, and everything was good.
So it helped in looking at where you were at, where you wanted to be, what timing was on everything, And just by stepping back for a minute, analyzing what was there and letting the flow of things take their course, you were able to make it through without making that deviation. In return, you were able to keep your reservoir at the level you wanted it, and having that excess.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the reservoir account should be where, the lion's share of the money coming in to the reservoir account. The reservoir account needs to be where money resides until I decide to either spend it or to put it to work.
As you've been working with currents, have you felt like you've sacrificed or given up anything important as you've focused more intentionally in where you want to be?
Definitely have focused more intentionally, but the effort to try to save is not there. Currents is automatically making that happen for me, Brad. My reservoir account is growing with really no extra effort from me. It's that simple structure that's between me and the paycheck that is, it's the workhorse. It is that true financial innovation. First time I heard it, I thought, yeah, there's no way that you've got to make extra effort to save money. It's interesting when you put a solution between you and your paycheck, right? That structural bolt-on solution, that technology, it happens automatically, and I see that. I feel it. I feel it every month.
So no sacrifice, but big gains.
I would say that it's not. It's big gains because it's happening without me and my involvement. That's the key. That's the key.
So it's moving your financial success to the default instead of it being at the bottom of the food chain.
Exactly. Yeah. Spend all of your money every month and then attempt to save. That there's something wrong with that.
It's a hard task.
Yeah. Or what you do save, you've got to go put your hands on it because you're over consuming.
We experienced that for years in our life.
Yeah.
Because
it leads to that hamster wheel type approach, right? You put money in savings, something breaks, here it goes. I got to move it from regular savings to regular checking. Got to write that check or put it on a credit card, even worse, right? So, yeah, having that that buffer, that speed bump, making more conscious decisions. It's been fun.
As you've introduced currents to your existing clients, what has been their receptiveness and response?
They're experiencing very near the same thing that I've experienced. Right, so their reservoir accounts are growing. I'm just now to what we call calibration meetings with my clients, and so we look at how much the reservoir account has grown. And, I learned early on with currents, there's really three things that you can do. You can spend it that month or spend it that quarter. You can let it ride, right? So the reservoir account earns a nice interest rate. Or we can put it to work and create some additional cash flow engines, right? Cash flow is king, and that's what we believe in. So my clients are experiencing the same thing that I've experienced.
It's funny you say cash flow is king. When I was coaching for Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad organization, he always used to get after people saying cash is king. Cash isn't king. Cash can run out. Cash flow is king because every month new money comes in. And so it's replenishing every single month. And that cash flow allows you to ride through some of the obstacles and challenges that we have in life. And then move that forward to acquiring additional cash flow assets that are tax advantaged.
We're both in the financial services world. We have been for a long time. I've seen people with $4, $5, $6 million worth of net worth that couldn't write a $500 check.
Right.
They look good credit, couldn't write a $500 check.
And it's a lot to do with the lack of the cash flow. There is nothing that feeds them on a monthly or annual basis. And that's where he would really get into the difference between an asset and a liability. An asset is going to eat you. And it's going to take money out of your pocket on a monthly or an annual basis, where an asset is going to put money into your pocket.
Yes.
And that cash flow then takes pressure off of the paycheck, which then allows for so many more options and freedom of choices that you have available to you.
Yes.
With new clients, how have you been introducing currents to them?
Yeah. So to new clients, I use there's a 1.5 minute little video. So I will talk about currents, set up a second session so that we can actually go through what we call an enrollment talk to learn more about it. And in between that little introduction, I'll send the video out, and then we'll schedule a call to go over it more in depth.
What are some of the success stories that you have seen with clients utilizing current?
So at the firm level, right? So other advisors plus me, Brad, we've had clients that have extinguished indebtedness that they struggled with before currents, right? So the saving effect, redeploying that to reduce indebtedness. We've had people start portfolios that are throwing off dividends, right? Which you could use as income, you could use as cash flow. We've had people add it to their regular investment accounts. And we have had people buy a cash flow engine called whole life insurance with that cash flow to protect their family. And as you know, whole life insurance creates dividends and it can create cash flow as well and create other benefits.
I want to talk about that client example that extinguished indebtedness. They were able to get themselves out of debt. The freedom that just gave them to now be able to focus those dollars into something that's going to lead them forward. And they did it in relatively short period of time.
It's almost a doubling up effect, right? So you're saving your reservoir account, or your paycheck goes in your reservoir account. You're saving dollars that would normally slip through the cracks. You're able to pay off credit card debt. You still have cash flow coming from the reservoir account. Now you've freed up the payment that was going to the credit card or to the financial institution. So really, you're double dipping there,
and it accelerates very quickly.
Yeah, meaning that we can recover, right? So if it were $250 a month going to the credit card, now that's not going to the credit card. What else can we do with that freed up cash flow? The compounding effect of that is massive over time.
Eliminating credit card debt. That is one area that I definitely like to have clients focus on as they're working with that cash flow structure, finding where that free cash flow is, that extra is, so that we can begin to attack the credit card debt because it is so corrosive and detrimental to your success. I don't know how often you run into clients that they've got $1,000+ a month going to credit card payments. And when you look at how much of that is interest and how much is leaving their world never to return, and in being able to eliminate that, the shift in wealth over a 30-year period of time, you go from giving the credit card companies over 30 years, $360,000 to being able to keep that inside of your financial world, putting it to work, getting a rate of return on it, and you wind up with more than double what you would have wound up giving to the credit card companies.
Yeah,
it's such a power.
Yeah, there are credit card rates out there that are, in the high 20s. Well, I mean, you can't just look at it like that, right? Because that creates an opportunity cost, if you will, that is going to cost you into the 30s. It is a profound effect that interest rates have, but then you apply cost of money to them, or you try to outrate a return it, right? There are people that out there that have a belief, well, that debt's not that big a deal. I'm not having to make that big a payment on it, but it's running at 28%. You've got to earn 35% to out earn that. And please tell me where you get that.
Every year.
Every month, every year. Yeah, exactly. Is it possible? Yeah, that's possible, but not on a consistent basis. And there's no risk to paying off credit card debt. There is a ton of risk trying to achieve some crazy rate of return.
Now, there was an example or a family that you mentioned before we jumped on, where you had talked to them about they were wanting to eliminate some debt, and so they were doubling down on what it was they were paying. And you had mentioned to them, what if I can show you how to increase your family's net worth while eliminating the risk of what it is that you are doing? What was the scenario on that?
Yeah, family that had taken one of the financial entertainers' advice out there, right, and trying to extinguish debt. They were prepaying their mortgage at a high level, um, prepaying the mortgage at 2.8%. Well, you know, okay, some of that advice they get from the financial entertainer is good, right? And that's to pay the credit card debt off, pay the I think Kiyosaki used to call it doodads, right? You pay all of that stuff off, but your mortgage needs to be examined super carefully. So with them disclosing that, I said, hey, and if there were a technique where I could help you recover. These folks had a pension decision headed their way, and they were going to have to select either pension on him, a partial pension on her, getting in position to do a joint and survivor pension where they would take less, actually substantially less, so that it would cover him and her throughout both of their lifetimes. And I got to thinking, okay, well, the money that you're prepaying to your mortgage, locking up that you can't get to, if we could harvest that money and create benefits plus money supply, we could give them greater certainty, greater guarantees, and save that family hundreds of thousands of dollars that they could use over their lifetime from retirement all the way till they graduate one of these days. So they were about to make a $500,000 financial error plus by prepaying their mortgage and not using that cash flow in a productive manner. Their cash flow is going to be stuck in the home every month, and they could be using a well-known financial technique to unlock at least $500,000 of money that they could enjoy over their retirement years. Cash flow,
allowing for more financial freedom, giving them more liquidity, more options to be able to do what it is that they want to do.
And a great deal more protection if things didn't go as they had hoped. One of the questions that I've started to ask my clients is, would they object to keeping more of what they earned? Right? Would anybody in their right mind object to that? So what we can do is we can show them how to bolt on currents to what they're currently doing and absolutely change the behavior of how they react with money, put a little speed bump in between them and consumption, and change their lives. I truly believe that currents created by our friend Dave Mozica and Vince Dodonna, they are going to change the financial services industry. Matter of fact, they've already done it. It's in motion now, and they're going to be just a ton of people that benefit from their innovation and their teaching. And I'm just looking forward to continue to grow. Some point, I would love to have 100% of my clients on currents. I don't know that that's possible, but that's my goal. In my 30 plus year career, looking back over that career, I can't think, Brad, of many times where I saw true financial innovation. Something that was developed is, grassroots invented. The products that we use, we've had all along the way. There are mutual funds, there are portfolios, there are insurances, different flavors of insurance. Looking back, products have gotten better, portfolios have gotten better, but to me, currents is one of the only true financial innovations that I've seen in my 30-year career.
It's been absolutely amazing what it's done for me, my family, and the clients that I have that have been using currents. Leave us a comment below as to what cash flow structure you're utilizing to accelerate your wealth, or if you're not using one and you would like to learn more, please leave Live Currents in the comments.